and welcome to Support the Maker with Stylecraft. Today we are catching up with Helen Shrimpton from Crystals and Crochet. Hi Helen.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
And how are you coping in lockdown?
It hasn't really changed anything for me at all. I work from home anyway. I suppose the only thing is I've been much busier because so many more people have been at home crafting, crocheting. So my Facebook group's been busier.
Wow.
I've had a lot more emails that I've been dealing with on a daily basis. So just
it has its good points as well then.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So today I wanted to just ask you a little bit about your background. How did you get started in crochet? Did you train or?
As a very young child, I've got two older sisters and a younger brother, but all of us were taught various different crafts by both my mother and my grandmother. So we all learned how to knit, sew, crochet, all the other various things. And I used to crochet a fair bit, I suppose, up to my early teenage years.
Right.
And then sort of dressmaking took over. And then I came back to crochet about 6.5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I'd been knitting like a crazy person for a few years prior to that. But I moved into a little cottage and I decided I did not want to have a television. So I wanted something to do in the evenings. And because it was we're talking like a 500-year-old cottage.
Ooh, spooky.
It was gorgeous, actually. I wish I could have stayed there, but unfortunately the end wall had to be rebuilt, so I had to move out. But anyway, it was very drafty, and so I decided I wanted to make myself a couple of like little lap blankets and things like some draft excluders. So that's why I started crocheting again.
So from starting to crochet again, how did you then progress to actually designing crochet projects?
I got bored very quickly. I can't work with just one colour. I can't work with just one stitch. Or if it's a repeated pattern over and over, like rows and rows of the same stitch, it drives me insane. So I just started playing with all sorts of different stitches.
Oh, wow.
I looked things up on YouTube. And that was when it suddenly clicked to me that actually US terms make far more sense to my dyslexic.
Oh, controversial.
Absolutely. But like I say, because I'm dyslexic, I find patterns quite difficult to follow unless they've got pictures.
Right.
Because if something is too abbreviated, it just becomes a jumble of numbers and letters to me.
Oh, I'd never thought of that before. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So it's also why I write my patterns in the way that I do. So there's a lot of like full words in there rather than just all abbreviations. And a lot of people have said to me they find my patterns very easy to read.
Oh, brilliant.
So, yeah, can't remember what I was saying. This is the other thing with my brain. It dives off at tangent all the time. US term.
Yes. So you were saying how you got into designing.
Yes, so it just suddenly all made more sense. And all of a sudden, the thing that clicked in my head was what I call units of height.
Oh, okay.
So if we want to talk UK terms, a double crochet to me is 1 unit of height.
Okay.
A treble is 2 units of height.
Yes.
A double treble is 3 units of height. Yeah, so, or in US terms, a single is 1, a double is 2, a triple is 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it suddenly made an awful lot of sense to me how I could create something using the different heights of stitches to get the sizing that I wanted.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So that's how you started. But do you know what, do you remember what your first project was that you designed?
Yes. It was Lotus Pavilions. It was that was my first published one. I think the one that I started working on first, though, was Spiro Star.
Ah.
They were both published in February of 2015. So it's 5.5 years that I've been designing and publishing patterns.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, to begin with, I was just doing it for me.
Mm.
And there was a group on Facebook that I used to go on a lot, because it was one of those that there was loads of different stuff and people doing all sorts of different patterns, and you could just share photographs of whatever you were making, etc. And people said to me, "Oh, have you got a pattern?" I was like, "No." How do you write a pattern? So then I designed Heart of Friendship.
Yeah.
Which is a blanket made of different squares, different size squares. So there's a large one and then there's some smaller ones. And I had a lady helping me with the proofreading of it, who really helped me to be able to get the grammar correct and things like that.
Yeah.
And from there, really, it's just sort of each pattern I've done, it's slightly refined.
And it's now your full-time job, is that right?
Yes.
At what point, how long ago were you able to do that?
3 years ago.
Oh, right. So it was only 2 years into it. Blimey, that's amazing.
Yeah. Because I mean, the reason for the website being called Crystals and Crochet, is because I used to have a crystal shop.
Oh, that's right.
Sell crystals and all the rest of it. It was a crystal shop and healing centre. And in my downtime, rather than just sit in the shop and do nothing, I used to sit and play with yarn, basically. And feel about doing different things. And Mandala Madness, which is probably one of my most well-known patterns, I designed that whilst I was still working in the shop. And then the lease was coming to an end on the shop, and I decided I didn't want to carry on with that for another like 5 or 6 years, and I wanted to travel a little bit. So that was when I basically went off traveling, and then I came back because Mum wasn't well, and that was when I started full-time.
Wow. And Mary Beth Potts has asked a question on Facebook. She wants to know, what are the inspirations for your designs? Or what inspires you?
Life inspires me. It's a tricky one, and it's one that I've often been asked. I don't copy anything. I don't look at anything as such. It's more colour that inspires me.
Right.
And feeling. So when I start a new design, I will often just get thoughts and feelings about the type of thing that maybe it needs to be. And as I'm working on it, a name will come to me, and just everything's visual in my head. The only time I actually I mean, like I say, life inspires me. I love being outside, love being I mean, luckily now I live very near a beach, so I can walk on the beach almost every day.
Yeah. Well, that must set you up for the day, mustn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. But then when you say you're inspired by colour and you're going through this process of creating the project with the colours, and how easy is it for you to do the other colourways? Because your projects always have other colourways, don't they? Is that
Yes.
hard?
It can. An example, Arcadia, okay, is a blanket pattern that I published last year.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one that's in the summer colourway, that literally flew off my hook. I think it took me something like 2 weeks to design the whole thing.
Wow.
And like I say, it literally just flew out. No thought or whatever, it just bang, there it was. And it was when we were having some lovely weather in the UK, so I was sat outside most days. But then quite a few people had said to me, you know, a lot of there's not many colour packs that have got reds in them. So I decided, okay, I'll make the second one for the photo tutorials, etc., and I'll use some reds. And I mean, technically, having already written the pattern, because I write as I go,
yes,
it should have been fairly quick. I think it took me 6 weeks
to do the second colourway.
Yeah, because
when the pattern was already written.
Because I think, like I say, I do everything by feeling.
Yes.
So when I choose my colours, I've got all my Starcraft Special DK in huge, great big plastic boxes. And I generally get them all out on the bed, take all the lids off. So I've got the whole lot there. And then I just pick out the colours that I'm drawn to. But because I was almost trying to force myself to use a colour,
you weren't feeling it.
No, it just was not the same.
No.
And though it has been quite a popular colourway, it's just not what I would do. And I find this quite often, I just have to go with what feels right.
Yeah. Yeah. Elaine's Woolly Wonderland on Instagram says, love all your work. How do you come up with your own stitches?
Okay. There's one in Mandala Madness that I call the accidental stitch. Because I don't know what I was trying to do, but I was just fiddling around, playing about, and all of a sudden I thought, oh, that looks really cool. Some are variations on a theme. Some are just the idea comes into my head that I want to be able to make something look like, you know, a daisy or a diamond or a whatever. And I think once you have a good repertoire, if you like, if you know and understand a lot of different special stitches, then it's easy to just jumble them all up and mix them about. And
maybe you should do a stitch dictionary or something for people with all these amazing stitches in.
Yes, and it's one of those things as well. I've realised in some of my earlier patterns, for instance, a cluster normally is a group of 2 or more partial stitches made into one stitch or chain space. Excuse me. Whereas so many together stitch is often a decrease.
Right.
And it's, let's say if you're going to do something like, let's talk in UK terms, if you're going to do something like a 3 treble together or a treble 3 together, however you like to say it, you're going to make a partial treble in each of 3 stitches. So you decrease by 2. So there's 1 or 2 of my earlier patterns where I would have written something like treble 3 together in next stitch, which actually now I would class that as a 3 treble cluster.
Right. Okay.
So because cluster was always a 3 treble stitch, you know, doing just 2 trebles or 2 double trebles, or doing 4 trebles or 4 double trebles, all of a sudden I was sort of thinking, right, I've got to streamline this.
Yes.
So that's why I changed my terminology slightly.
Right. Okay. And when you do get down to designing, you say you open all your boxes up. What comes first? Is it, you say you've got these pictures in your head, is it the color palette that comes first, or is it the stitch pattern that comes first, or is it an evolution as you just feel the yarn going through your fingers? Or
it's always color first,
right?
And then it sounds maybe a little bit crazy, but hey, I don't mind being classed as crazy. Quite happy to be classed as crazy. I've always said my crochet angels tell me what to do. Fantastic. And it is literally like somebody else is telling me what to do.
So it's like automatic writing or something like that. But
absolutely, crochet. Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
How inspiring.
And I have found I have to get out of my own way.
Yes.
I can really mess things up by trying to be too technical.
Right.
Yeah, so I just have to get out of the way and just allow it to flow.
Yeah, because you are a very technical, whenever I've spoken to you about crochet, or you've explained things when we've been at the Blog Stars get together, there's a lot of technical in you, isn't there, as well?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And I mean, yes, the basic rules are, you know, how to make a circle flat, how to make a square and not rounded, and how to keep things flat and even.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is great when you're working on, let's say, Afghan squares. But once you start to get bigger, and a lot of my squares that I'm designing now are more sort of 20-inch, 50 centimetre squares.
Wow.
Rather than only the 10-inch ones. I mean, that's if you're using a double knit yarn. If you're using an Aran weight yarn, obviously they're going to be even bigger.
Yeah.
But you start to have to break and bend and twist the rules. And also going back to my height thing.
Yeah.
If you are just working with a UK treble or a US double, then yes, those rules of starting with 12 stitches in a circle and increasing by 12 each round, that applies. But as soon as you start to adjust the height, then it makes a difference.
Yes, of course.
If you make it smaller, you need less increases. If you make the stitch taller, you need more increases.
Yes. That's fascinating, that is. I'd never thought about that. And what you said about the single, double, treble, the different heights, suddenly has explained the whole American crochet to me completely. It makes it makes sense now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not a very good crocheter, but suddenly it's all become clear. I've learned something today. Today's a school day.
Every day's a school day.
So what project, oh, hang on, I did have a question for you. So Mietzler asks, what are the chances of ever having a rectangular overlay crochet pattern written?
There are lots already out there. There are one or two designers. I mean, one of my favourite designers, actually, Tatiana from Lilleborn.
Oh, yes.
She does the most beautiful overlay crochet work. It's absolutely stunning.
Yes. Is she the one that's done the brioche hexagons that look like coral?
Yes.
Oh, Stunning.
They're absolutely stunning. They're gorgeous.
Mm.
And I feel, rather than trying to do everything, I think we're all better specializing in our niche.
Yeah.
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 So, you know, some people do things really, really well.
Mm.
Keep doing them. You know, I love texture.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love, texture, and I love color.
Yeah.
And I love the feel of things. So to me, if someone said to me, can you design? I'd say no. I will only do what happens, what evolves,
Yeah.
what comes out.
Yeah.
To try to force something doesn't work.
No.
Not for me, anyway.
So, what do you have any projects in the pipeline at the moment? I'm sure you do.
Yes.
Just one or two. When can we expect a launch from a new project from you?
Okay, well, I have collaborated with another blog star, Emma, from Pippin Poppycock. So I've done all the video tutorials for Emma. So that took quite a bit of time. And then I'm actually at the moment working on my crochet along for this year, which actually will launch in October.
Oh, wonderful.
So
any hints about it?
Well, the prototype is done. And I was actually still working on that when my friend Inika came over to stay with me before all the lockdown and everything, literally just before.
That seems like so long ago.
Oh, doesn't it just? Doesn't it just?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've done all the photo tutorials and I'm almost finished the video tutorials for that.
I think that's what I really like about your work, is all the support that you get, because if you're like me, not a very experienced crochet, and then you see this amazing project and think, I'm never ever going to be able to do that. I think the support that, I mean, it must take you hours, all the videos and editing videos and all the photography, but I think it's just so wonderful that you do that to allow other people into your projects.
Well, one of the things that often I've got a group on Facebook, it's called Helen's Hookaholics. And we've got, I don't know, 45,000 or more members in the group. Mm-hmm. Got a fantastic team of admins and moderators that help out. So I probably only go in there a couple of times a day. Right. But it's a couple of hours a day.
Wow.
But that and emails, yeah. But very often in the group, people will go, wow, these designs are amazing, rah, rah, rah. I'll never be able to do this. And immediately everyone will jump in and say, yes, you can, yes, you can, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Literally just this morning, as I was looking through the group, there was a lady who had posted her progress on Sacred Space, which was last year's crochet along. Mm-hmm. The only thing she had made prior to starting Sacred Space was a granny square. That was it. That's
she
all
was brave.
But because you've got photo tutorials, because of the way the pattern is written, because you've got video tutorials, and you've got the help and support literally 24 hours a day, because I've got admins and moderators all around the world.
Yes.
You know, you can do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you say I can't walk a mile, then you're not going to walk a mile, are you?
Yeah.
Whereas if you say I want to walk that mile,
yeah,
then you're going to walk it.
You're going to give it a go.
Exactly. Yeah. And really, as I say, my patterns have a lot of texture in them, and yes, the shapes change and all that sort of thing, but they're all just normal stitches.
Yeah.
even a special stitch, it's just made up of singles, doubles and trebles.
Yes.
Put together in different ways. So
it's like with knitting, you know, once you can knit and purl, the rest, okay, there's a bit of yarn overs and stuff, but you've got the building blocks, haven't you? Yeah. Haven't you got a new website?
Yes, I have. That was launched at the end of February.
Oh, right.
It took us, I mean, I'm not an IT person at all. I can press buttons, I can follow instructions, but I have no clue about programming or coding or anything like that. Because I'm ancient, this sort of stuff wasn't taught when we were at school. Whereas a lot of the younger folks coming up, that was all part of their education at school. But I have a fantastic company that I use for my website, etc. And it was when there were some issues with a certain website where most designers sell their patterns and upload their patterns, that I thought, right, okay, I want to have more control myself over what happens with my patterns. Plus, because all of my crochet alongs I have translated into like 15 or more languages, I wanted to know, you know, how many people actually download a pattern in Italian? How many download it in Dutch? How many download it in Urdu or Arabic or whatever? You know, and is it really worth the time that these amazing ladies that do these translations for free for me, is it worth their time? Well, from my old website or from, you know, Ravelry or anywhere like that, you can know how many total downloads you've had, but you can't distinguish what version. So that was part of the reason for the new website, because I can now tell you exactly how many Mandala Madnesses have been downloaded in Danish or French or Dutch, or, you know, and how many are in US terms or UK terms or whatever. And that's the mathematical.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm seeing it. I'm imagining this wonderful spreadsheet. Oh, I'm getting quite excited now.
Yeah. So yeah, all of that side of it is wonderful. Plus, people lose downloads. You know, something happens to your phone or your laptop or computer, whatever, and all of a sudden those files you downloaded have disappeared into the internet ether.
Yeah.
And are often not recoverable. So I also wanted a way for people to be able to store a pattern, to be able, you know, if they lost it for any reason anywhere, they can come back
and download it
again. So that's why I have a membership. So you can either be a free member or a paid member. If you're a paid monthly member, then you get so many credits a month, and that basically means you can use those credits to buy patterns.
Oh, brilliant.
So it works out ever so slightly cheaper.
Right.
You know, for a lot of things, or it's what it is. So for me, it guarantees a little bit of monthly income. For my customers, followers, whatever you like to call them, they have a little bit of a loyalty reward type of thing. Plus, we are looking to where we can take it in the future.
How interesting.
But the website took about 8 months to a year to actually decide exactly what we wanted on it, and exactly how it was going to be laid out, so it was as user-friendly as possible.
It's a huge job, a new website.
Huge expense as well. But to me, absolutely worth it.
Yeah, definitely. So what, anything else that you've got? You've got your Cal coming up. In October? How long will that run for?
8 weeks.
8 weeks. So then anything else for 2020, or we looking forward?
Yes, there will be. This is one of the things. Yeah, if I can reach it. I started to design a shawl.
Oh, lovely.
But this is what happens when you design. You have to undo an awful lot of the work you do.
Yeah.
So this I was working on because I've just had, well, before lockdown I started off having a new kitchen fitted, and then of course everything came to a halt. So then they were back, so I couldn't be working on the Callan videos because I had people in one room of the house decorating and someone else in another room of the house doing something else. So yeah, so I'm working on a shawl that will come out possibly before the Cal.
Right.
Because obviously with the Cal, once you've done all the testing, you've got all the translating to do. That's all done at the moment. That will all be finished probably, I would say, end of August, middle of September.
Right.
You know, so...
And what yarns is it going to be in?
Okay, so there are definitely going to be 2 colour packs.
Right.
One is in Special DK.
Yeah.
And the other is in the new Naturals, Cotton Bamboo.
Do you like that yarn?
I do like it. I'm not so sure whether I like blankets made in cotton.
Right.
I think
that's a personal preference, isn't it, really, I guess?
Yes, I think for very warm countries, which the UK is not, apart from the odd day or week every now and then, I think for warm countries or very humid countries, then yes, cottons are fabulous.
Yeah.
And I love the classique cotton.
Yeah.
For things like, I've got one behind me here, hold on. This is one of my large squares.
Oh, lovely.
That I did recently, and that's in the classic cotton.
Yes.
They're fabulous because the cotton's much harder wearing.
Yes.
Stays looking really crisp and nice, and they're dead easy to wash, etc., etc. So yeah, I've done one that's I think it's about 15 colours. It's actually silver with rainbow.
Oh.
So it's all sorts of we've got red, pink, 2 oranges, 2 yellows, 2 greens, 2 turquoises, 2 blues, 2 purples.
The riot.
Yeah, so that one is an absolute blast of colour.
Yeah.
The cotton bamboo one that I'm doing, that's still about 7 colours.
Yeah.
Very oceanic. I'm using surf and sea foam as, if you like, the main colours.
Right.
And then I'm using a blue, Wedgwood and buttermilk, and I'm using coral and azalea and the Urkroot as well.
That sounds like my sort of colourway.
Yeah, so very pastel-y, very pretty, very summery.
Yeah.
The prototype one I did with 5 colours, 2 greens, cream is the main colour, and then parchment, and there's 2 greens, and I think it's apricot that I used. Yes, it is apricot that I used. So again, that's very, very soft, light colouring.
Yeah. It sounds like there's something for everybody there.
Yes, yeah, and that's sort of what I try to do.
Yeah.
But I also encourage people to, use their own colour palettes and swap and change things around. And yeah.
Fantastic. So lastly, I'm conscious that our time is coming to an end. Your top tip for crocheters, if you were going to pass on one tip I might let you have 2. What would that be?
Okay. Number 1, read the pattern properly.
From start to finish, or?
No, each round, as you go, read the round. Look at where the brackets, parentheses, asterisks are. Look at what the repeat actually says. Because I would say 90% of the time, mistakes people make are with not reading the pattern properly.
Mm-hmm.
The other hint, which is a bit of a 2-in-1, excuse me, stitch markers are your friend. Count, count, count. Because again, people will okay, so a lot of people, when they first learn to crochet, don't really think about stitch anatomy. They don't really think about exactly which part of the stitch they should be working into. And if someone's, let's say, for instance, always done blankets worked in rows, then they're used to the top loops of the stitch being after the post.
Yes.
But when you work in the round, it's before the post.
Okay.
So people will often skip a stitch accidentally.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah. Things like that. So, yeah. So more than just one. Learn stitch as well.
Buy one, get one free.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today, Helen. It's lovely to see you, and hope to see you in the flesh, as it were, at some point, hopefully before the end of the year.
Hopefully, yes.
Take care.
Thanks
Bye.
very much.
Bye.